Today on CJ Off-Road, we're going to help our JL breathe a little easier with the help from Injen. If you're looking to add some quick and easy performance out of your JL Wrangler, today we're going to be installing this Injen Cold Air Intake featuring their Wrinkle Black induction tube with their SuperNano Web Filter, and it's going to fit your 3.6 liter JL Wrangler. This Injen Cold Air Intake features everything that you need to get it bolted up onto your JL Wrangler. And it features a T6 6061 aluminum mandrel-bent wrinkle black powder coated induction tube, and includes their SuperNano Web Filter, which is going to give you great performance, surrounded by their plastic filter cover, which is going to keep out that mud and debris. It features all the band clamps and tubes that you need to get it installed on your JL Wrangler, and is also available with an oiled filter and a polished induction tube. Now with that being said, let's get it installed on our 2018 JL Wrangler and see how it performs. Tools you need for this installation: 1/4 inch ratchet, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, trim removal tool, and a small pair of pliers. We're at the front end of our JL, and before we can install our new Injen Cold Air Intake, we're going to remove the factory intake system. The first step of the removal process is to remove this breather hose right here by depressing on this gray section and pulling towards the firewall. Just pop right out. Next, remove the two 10mm bolts holding on this factory induction tube. To remove the temperature sensor here, what we're going to do is just lightly twist it counterclockwise with an adjustable crescent wrench and pull it straight out. Just be very careful with these. They're plastic, don't put too much pressure on them or they will break. From the inside here, just gonna grab a hold of it. Twist it lightly, counterclockwise, and you can do it by hand. Just breaking it free in the beginning, and then just slowly rock it back and forth, and it'll pull right out. Remove the two push pins holding it on here. And just set the sensor aside in a safe spot. There's another push pin that actually holds onto your factory intake that you have to remove before you can get it out. It's right behind here. I've got the trim removal tool on it. Just pop it up. Up by the throttle body, there's going to be an 8mm bolt that holds on this band clamp from the soft part of your induction tube. Use an 8mm socket to get it pulled off, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. Don't fully twist it off, just enough to loosen it up so you can get this off your throttle body. The last bolt holding this intake on is going to be this 10mm here over on the passenger side fender. Once again, just pull that out. Once it's free, we'll now be able to remove the entire intake. Now over here, it's actually stuck in through these rubber grommets. Give it a nice pull. Just kind of work on it a little bit, and it'll pull right out. We've got our Injen intake box here and our filter, and now what we're gonna do is actually interlock the filter into here before we start this install. We can turn it around to this side, and now when you slide it in, there's actually a little lump right here, or a little cutout, and you're gonna place that matching up with the one on the filter, and it'll set in and twist it clockwise about a 1/4 turn. It'll stop, and now that's completely locked into there. It won't move, and it's a really secure way to have this on. Now this intake box has a small window here so you can look in and see how your filter is doing. We're gonna turn that so it faces upwards, and you're gonna have some markings here. This is actually gonna face the front radiator support, and what we're gonna do is take this edge with the offset holes and set it like this right onto the intake box. And use the provided hardware. Then we can get this tightened up with a 10mm socket. With the box flipped upside down, you're gonna put these included studs through the bottom hole going upwards, then put a washer and the flange nut onto there. Tighten them by hand, then we'll use a ratchet to get them fully tight. All right, now you're ready to install it into the Jeep. Place your intake box into place by pushing it into the factory location to the grommets, and it'll freely stand a little bit, kind of fall a tad bit, but we're gonna put that tube in, as well as get some clamps up on this throttle body next. Slide 2 clamps over here, and then we're gonna put this right over the factory throttle body. Push it all the way to the edge. Make sure it goes underneath too. The clamps to both edges. Now we can go get our intake tube. Grab your induction tube and use the provided grommet to place in this hole here. Work its way around until it's fully seated. You can actually feel inside the tube. Make sure it's all the way good to go. This is where your temperature sensor is going to go. Make sure it's nice and tight and a good seal. Before you can put the tube into place, make sure you slide a band clamp over this end. Then we're going to actually put it onto the intake side, right onto the throttle body, and get it pushed all the way in. Now we can push it down over their new filter. Get it fully seated. Get the band clamp up top here, fully into place. I can get them all tightened down. You're just going to use an 8mm socket to get them tightened up, or a flathead screwdriver. You can also reinstall the temperature sensor at the same time. To reinstall the temperature sensor, basically just twist it in very gently. Make sure that that grommet doesn't go inside. There you go, it's fully seated. Reattach the breather hose simply by sliding it over, and you'll hear it click. Now you can tighten down the last band clamp. Once that's fully tightened up, your installation is complete. That wraps up the installation of this Injen PowerFlow Cold Air Intake onto our 2018 JL two-door. And honestly, this is a really nice intake kit for you. It's going to increase the horsepower and torque of your Jeep. According to them, almost 11 foot-pounds of torque and 9 horsepower, so not bad. The install was super simple. It took about 2 hours, and before you know it, you'll be back on the trail. Hope you enjoyed that video. To stay up to date on our CJ Off-Road videos, make sure to subscribe up top here. And for any other installs, make sure to click the link right above.